Hello cousins and welcome to a Valentine's special of the Shattersong LARP Diaries. Today I'm going to be talking very briefly, I'm afraid, since it is Valentine's Day and I have bottles to paint and beer to drink alone. But not to miss out on the 2-day schedule, I'm going to be talking to you about skills today. So we're going to be looking at some of the basic skills just after the introduction to the rule set, and doing a couple of sample builds and just giving you an idea of what you can build your character to do. And spoiler, it's more limited than most other systems in my experience. It's not like you have a fighter, a mage, or a ranger archetype. I think it's much more refined than that, especially when it comes to fighters. Because within mages you'll have different schools of magic, but there's almost different schools and styles of fighting in this as well. So I think it's a cool and interesting change to shake up the standard warrior archetype. But let's get into the meat and grunt of it. Now, before I go on, there is a new release of rules, like an expanded background that the team, I think Trot, just dropped yesterday. And I will be covering that very soon. I've read it in full. I think it's excellent, and it's given me more and more faith in how Menhirs Fate is going to run. Yes, it's taking a long time for them to get clarity, but I think rather than them being incompetent, I think it's more a case of their being careful to get things right, but at the same time, as a business, they're executing at pace. So getting the site sorted, getting the event sorted, getting a wiki set up with some basic rules, those things have different priorities, and the fluff is probably at the bottom of the barrel right now. They've got to get the event logistics in place because they've turned this around very quickly as a company. So we shall see, and more will go out. And frankly, it's like the Winds of Fortune for Empire. I say frankly, like everyone is like me, but personally, I only start reading rules and reading what's changed just before the event. It gets me hyped up. So if there's a big lore dump a couple of weeks before the event, awesome. We don't have time for people to metagame it too badly, and instead we can lean into going, that's cool, I want to do that, or oh, didn't think about that, let's try a bit of this. Having been to a Chinese buffet literally earlier this evening, I think this is going to be a Chinese buffet of fun. But anyway, on to the skills list. So to create a character, you get 10 XP to spend, and if you don't spend any of that, it's banked to spend later on. XP stands for experience points. If you didn't know that, welcome. Welcome to the fundamentals of nerdery. A character gains XP after attending their first and third event in a year, so exactly the same as Empire. Any character experience not spent on your character will carry over to the next character your player has. So you can't just create a character, spend nothing, and have 10 for another character for a total of 20. That's a no-no. It's any additional XP that you earn by turning up to events. It doesn't have to go on your current character, you can save it for next time. And I think a lot of new players will be doing that, because your first character is probably going to die. It won't be optimal is the word I use. It makes me shudder. It reminds me of 40k players. But yeah, you might not have an optimized build, or you might, in a more LARPy way, not have found your niche just yet. Okay, so all characters do have some basic skills. Literacy. The player may choose the ability of the character though. Numeracy, and again you can choose your ability. You can use maps, compasses, daggers, one-handed weapons, and bucklers. So you can walk around town with a little knife, and one-handed sword and a buckler. It's not the worst weapon loadout. So at your base level, it's not too bad. We talked about hit points in another video. This is more about the skills. And if I remember correctly, it's 2 or 3 base. Oh, I really should know. Anyway, basic skills. Light armor, medium, and heavy armor is 1 XP, 2 XP, or 3 XP. And notice that these don't cross over each other. So if I want to learn how to use heavy armor, oh no, I'm totally wrong. Ignore me. It does allow you to wear light, medium, and heavy. So if you want to wear all 3 types of armor, that's 3 XP gone. Ambidextrous, wielding 2 weapons, so 2 swords at once, 1 XP. Ranged, 4 XP, so that's bows, longbows, crossbows, all that good stuff. Shields is 2. Throwing weapons is 1. Toughness is 2 XP. And progressively gets more expensive the more you take it. So it's 2 XP the first time, 3 XP the second, 4 XP the third, and that gives you +1 hit point. Two-handed weapons, 2 XP, and polearms are 3 XP. So polearms, which look to include spears, let's go and double check that. Polearms and pikes, no it does not. So polearms and pikes are 3 XP, and they are separate to two-handed weapons, which are your classic broadsword, but also staves and spears as well. Alright, so I think the only difference there is between two-handed and polearm. Otherwise, pretty standard. Armor's pretty cool, and just make you, if you want to just run a light character, you're sinking less XP into heavy armor, which is cool. Vigor. So your vigor is required. It's 3 XP just to get the base level ability, and that is 3 XP. Vigor itself, you get 2 vigor, and you can use the May the Gods Witness Me ability, and fire it up once per day. So I think vigor is the priest skill? No, it's not. It's hero points. Physical energy to use certain skills in the game. So it's hero points. Cool. So it's 3 XP to get a couple of them, and 2 XP for each one afterwards, which again will increase for each one after that. So rather than starting with 2 and going 3, 4, 5 pretty easily, it's actually quite expensive. If I'm taking heavy armor, that's 3 down. Two-handed weapon, that's 5. Just getting vigor is another 3, so that's 8. And then at this point, I've only got a couple more XP in total to maybe get Crush, which is 1 XP. I've seen worse, 1 XP. Regen, Rend is 2, Stagger's 2. So if you want to build a heavy armoured infantryman who doesn't use a shield, then you've only got 1 call available to you. And if you want to use a spear and a shield, all of your XP, assuming you've gone for heavy armour, all of your XP is entirely in basic skills, and you'll have no specialist calls. I think that's pretty cool. So we're going to see some tankier types, some heavily armoured types, and then also some damaging abilities as well that will change as people level up. Crush is the core new rule that allows you to do max damage to someone in heavy armour. So they take all the remaining hits they have, they lose them, and they enter a critical state. But only if they're wearing heavy armor. If they're not, it only does 1 point of damage. I've seen worse is heal someone from bleeding out to 3 points. Regen allows you to restore 3 hits to yourself and leave your own critical state, which is cool. It's like it's not like Relentless. It's unstoppable. Rend goes through light and medium armor, but against heavy, it only does 1 point of damage. Stun puts someone, makes them unable to defend themselves, attack, or cast spells for 10 seconds. And then Stagger is they take 3 large steps away, even if you parry it. So Stagger is new strike down, making people drop on the floor. I think it's a cool rule, but it's impractical to do it all the time, and I'm saying that as a person who loves to be on the floor like a pig. In fact, I think this is much more accessible and an easier rule to follow, so more people will follow it. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Cool set of vigor skills. You've got slightly changed. I made like reduced repel, 3 steps instead of 10 meters. Stagger is like an entangle. Rend is cleave. Regen is unstoppable. I've seen worse as unstoppable. And Crush is new. Alright, faith skills. So conviction, again this is the core skill you need to access everything else. This is what your warrior priests use. Again, this is 3 XP. And then you've got a variety of different skills like Divine Light, Spiritual Reading, Divine Inspiration, Sanctified Strike. And these do, I'm not going to go into them because I want this to be a quick episode. If you want to play a priest, you get special access to some calls that you can power with faith rather than with vigor, or hero points colloquially. And based on how much conviction you have and you're following, again this costs more XP, then you can pump some abilities through. So I think you could see some unarmored priests toddling around but with a big hammer, and they might be able to do a decent amount of damage. But if I was building a pure priest, 3 XP base, 2 XP for an additional set of followers, and then 1 XP for each skill. So if I wanted 4 of them, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah, that still only leaves 1 XP point. So even though 10 XP sounds like a lot, it's not buying you very much, especially if you start to mix between heroic skills, faith skills, and basic skills. The final few tables are the magical skills. So to be a mage, it's 3 XP. Extra focus, which is your mana points, 2 XP, and extra spell is 1 XP. And with extra focus, it again ramps up as you buy more, so it's going to be exponential. And then the weaver skills, this is for more like rituals and the like, rather than fireball. That's 3 XP base and 2 XP to master certain things. So if you want to be a battle mage and a ritual mage, that will literally take up your entire XP allowance with no extra spells. So costly. Physician, we talked about that in another episode. 2 XP base, 1 XP to notice murderers, and then 3 XP to be an advanced physician where you can murder people during surgery. And also I think you've got some better healing times for your patients. But again, take an advanced physician and mortician as well, that's 6. So you've got a couple XP left maybe for picking up mage and a magical heal, or for some faith skills. But again, 1 of them. Enchanting, 3 base, 1 for an additional mastery. Apothecary, 3 base, 1 for additional mastery. And as we talked about in the apothecary episode, it's not like you need to master each potion. You master pure schools. So at the moment there's only 2. So the maximum you could spend on apothecary is 5 XP. So apothecary is a little bit cheaper, I think, bang for your buck, because the complexity and the variety is contained within the potion creation flowchart, rather than being locked behind certain skills or certain laws or alchemy books. So very quick episode, apologies this is a bit rushed, but fundamentally no one wants to hear me read out numbers. And second fundamental is that you're going to have to think a lot more carefully than you would usually about what your character does. So if you've got a group of mates, especially if you're fighty types, it's no longer a case of going, right, I'm going to take Juggernaut and I'm going to buy shield, and one of us might get Weapon Master to pick up a polearm. You're going to have to almost choose the skill for the weapon you want to use, and then combo that with armor, and then combo that with your actual heroic calls. And does one of you take Cleave? Let's call it what it is, Rend. Does one of you take Rend? Does one of you take Crush if you're coming up against something heavy? I think individual members of a warband are going to be much more important, and that variety of skills is going to be... I can imagine calls at a gate going on a skirmish like, we need Crush Warriors, or we need Renders, or we need heavy infantry, and these things will all mean something now, and I personally am quite looking forward to it. But there you are, dear friends. Enjoy Valentine's Day, enjoy your weekend, and I will catch all of you in the next episode. Bye!